Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, everyone. My name is Robin Dolezal, and I'm with Ironwood Financial. With me today on today's chat are my two colleagues, Alex Pars and Dan Nentel. Good afternoon, fellas.
How's it going?
Hey, Robbie.
Good. Sorry, guys. I am starting to be in that phase where I need a haircut. I'm not sure what we're gonna do here. I may need Marta over here, Alex.
No. She's not leaving the house.
Dan, you look a little shaggy too.
Oh my goodness, I don't remember it being this long.
Well, good afternoon, folks. Today we're going to be talking about the CARES Act. Before we get into that conversation, I do want to let you all know that starting tomorrow, we are going to start broadcasting these videos at 2 o'clock instead of 2:30. We know that the daily coronavirus briefing that happens on TV and online usually happens about the same time, so 2:30 Pacific time. So we don't want to pull you away from that. So going forward, starting tomorrow, we are going to start at 2 o'clock. So don't forget about that. Tomorrow we'll start at 2 o'clock. Tomorrow's agenda is going to revolve around inflation. So if you've missed any of our other videos, or if you missed them today, we post those to Facebook right here, and we do post those to our website, which is ironwoodfinancial.com. So before we get started, let's just chat about the market. Dano, give us what happened today.
Well, kind of a unique day. I mean, the market got some bad news over the weekend, and then we started to realize some data came in about the coronavirus, COVID-19, and we saw probably the best news to come out of it is we see that there's ICU beds available in Italy, first time in quite some time, which is a real positive notion. California, it feels like they're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and they're sending some of their ventilators to help those folks in New York. Spain looks like they've kind of flattened the curve, and so let's face it, we've all been going without. We've been, we don't get to hug our loved ones, we don't get to see our friends, and so we're shelter in place, and it's working. And as much of a sacrifice as it's been, it seems as though, the market is completely responding to the fact that potentially we might actually get out of this, and who knows, be able to go get a haircut. So I mean, it's really good news, and everyone's sacrificing, and gosh, everyone's sick and tired of sitting in their house, and there's so many funny memes out there, but the reality is, who knows, this actually may be working for us and maybe the rest of the world.
Yeah,
Lives are being saved.
Yeah, so it sounds like there might be some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, there absolutely is. I mean, there was a question in my mind that could the United States and other, Western countries implement social distancing to where it would be effective? In China and some of the Eastern countries, you've got lockdown, don't leave your door. In the Philippines, they're shooting people who violate the quarantine. But in the rest of the world, we can still golf, or at least in the US. So it's good to see that it's actually working without those strict measures. That's a wonderful thing. And the stock markets reacted. This is working. We are saving lives, and you can't say much more than that. It's wonderful. The one concern that I have right now is that's wonderful for the disease, but that doesn't really mean anything for the economy. What today proved, or what the numbers today proved, was that we can successfully all stay home and save lives. That's great. Does that mean that corporate profits are going to go up, that we can make money, that we can go about business as usual? It doesn't mean that yet. And that's the next thing that we need to look for. Originally, this was my all-in, this is over by day, just like the market said. But that's changed. As I've read articles about, other countries trying to reopen. We saw China trying to reopen parts of the economy on the 26th. They had to close them back down on the 2nd. We saw Hong Kong try to reopen 3 times. I'm going to, share my screen here for just a chart. And this is, I know some of you say this isn't as accurate as Johns Hopkins, but they're nice graphs. But this is Italy. I'm sorry, I'm in Spain. I moved to Italy.
One of them to Spain.
I mean, one thing just to quickly point out, do we have this problem linked? This is worldwide. Does that look like a good chart?
No.
I mean, Italy, This is what we're looking at. This is what we're looking at in New York. We're hoping to see. Total cases going up. That doesn't really matter that much. What matters is these numbers here. Active or new cases. 6,500 was their peak. 5,000, 4,000, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, 4,000, 4,000, 4,000, 4,000, 4,000. They're still closed. They're still locked down. Can you reopen with 4,000 active cases? Or 4,000 new cases, I'm sorry, per day. And look at active cases. This is still going up. Okay, we are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, but the tunnel's getting longer. And
Right.
that's the concern that we have is, can we reopen? And if we can't reopen, how do we make profits? And once one of these countries reopens and once they reopen, will they have to shut back down again? We don't know. Until that time, it's prudent to be cautious.
Yeah, right. I agree. It also seems like the stock market's going up because there's a lot of people with FOMO. You guys familiar with that term now? Fear of missing out. And I get emails like this all the time from clients, right? Saying, "Oh my gosh, when are we going to get back in?" And so, the story is, folks, we are getting back in, but we're going slowly. And Alex did a really good job. I don't even remember if it was last week or the week before he had mentioned this, but we want to make sure that we do this slowly. We're looking at all the data. We would rather not be right than dead wrong, I think is what you said. And that is very much so the case.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons there is FOMO, or one of the reasons when I'm looking at my computer, my television right here, and how big the market was up so incredibly large today, is the government's done everything they can. We've had 2 or 3 conversations about what the Treasury has been done, what the Fed has done to bail out or to make sure there's not a liquidity issue for large publicly traded companies. Well, last week, the Congress put together a bill to, through the kitchen sink, to use that term over and over, at businesses that are 500 employees or less. I mean, it is $350 billion that we can get through loans. We have money that will be forgiven if we use it for payroll and make sure that we keep America working, even if they're shuttered in place. And then they also have a great deal of money that is set aside for those people that there's simply no way to save their position. The wait people, the cooks, you name it, yoga instructors, unlimited different places that no matter what we're doing because of our current shutdown, simply cannot continue work. And for those people, there's always been a state unemployment insurance. In Arizona, every single state's different based on cost of living, but in Arizona, you can get $240 a week. And that's up to, you have to qualify for it. The federal program through the CARES Act is saying, tell you what, we're going to just throw a flat number for every single person out there of $600. So if you got the maximum unemployment of $240 in Arizona, and you then also got the federal stimulus plan of unemployment for additional $600 or $840 a week, well, now you're in a position where you actually might be able to sustain yourself. You might be able to continue to spend money because now you're making about $3,400 a month. And so it seems to me that the Congress is saying, let's make sure that people that are in non-essential businesses can survive and their family and loved ones don't go without. Now, Alex, my question for you is, and Alex, just your video seems to be a little shaky. So if I interrupt, it's because you're coming across hit or miss. But
Okay.
They're throwing a lot of money at this. Is this going to work? Is this the end all be all? Is this the reason the market's going up?
It's definitely part of the reason the market's going up, and there's some good things here. As you said, I mean, we're going to keep people in their homes, middle-class people, from going without. That's a great thing. There's a couple little ifs, though. You mentioned the Paycheck Protection Program, which is going to give a loan of up to 2.5 months of payroll to help businesses make payroll, keep people on the books, and they're going to get this money out ASAP to these businesses to keep them in business, unless you bank with Wells Fargo. Because Wells Fargo, the 4th largest bank in the country, they got slapped on the wrist a few times for making some mistakes, and they're only able to issue, as of right now, $10 billion worth of loans under this program. They opened up indications of interest, I think on Friday or Saturday, and they closed them on Sunday and said, sorry, we're full. So if you didn't get in by then, and they're not taking you. And they said, by the way, not only are we not taking more people, we're probably not going to take everybody who's already emailed us. So you have to go to a different bank to get this program that's to keep your business alive that the federal government says you need, and you probably do. So where do? You go to Chase. Chase says, sorry, we're taking care of our customers. You're back of the line. We'll get you in a month or two. I don't know how long it's going to take. So hopefully Wells Fargo gets their restriction lifted, because no other banks are willing to take other people. That's a bit strong. Most other banks are not willing to take other people from other banks, from Wells Fargo. But if they do take you, you're going to the back of the line. Now, on the plus side,
it's a complete shame that, Wells Fargo obviously has been in trouble for months now, if not, a year or so. And now we're just now finding out that these poor people who have business accounts with Wells Fargo can't do anything about this. So I'm hoping that they get some relief as well.
Yeah, and I don't know the solution to this problem. That's again, one of those ifs, ands, or buts that comes across with one of these stimulus programs. I mean, Wells Fargo should be originating, what did we see? Chase has originated something like $40 billion already, and Wells Fargo's capped at 1 day's worth.
Right.
Okay.
No, I mean, frustrating, especially for those of us that bank at Wells Fargo, and especially if you have more than 50 employees. But that being said, there is still $349 billion that's going to enter the small business marketplace that should help. And what I've been hearing is, won't that drive the market up? Isn't it time to buy now?
Well, it depends on how that money is used, how it's dispersed, and when it gets here. And remember, this is not, they're giving you this money to cover 2.5 months worth of payroll, just payroll. And they're not covering your rent. They're not covering your profits. They're not covering your inventory. They're covering your payroll. So while you're shut down, you can pay your payroll using this money. What else can you pay? Nothing. And unfortunately, and this is the second part, you don't have to use that money for payroll. You can use that money for many business expenses. So if you want to use that money to pay rent and furlough your employees till June 30th and then rehire them then, well, that's allowed under this program. So that's, again, part of the ifs, ands, or buts. The design is to keep people on payroll. It's to keep business afloat. But how does a business stay afloat with 7 different expenses when we're only covering 1?
All right, so Alex, we talked a lot about the CARE Act and how this is affecting businesses. I know we were talking today amongst the three of us, and you had some real concerns, but it wasn't so much with the PPP, et cetera. Walk us through some of your concerns that you had.
Honestly, the scariest thing to me about this whole thing is it's written for people in New York and California, which means that people in the middle of the country, not on the coasts, with lower cost of living and lower employment wages, lower minimum wage, et cetera, they're going to be impacted in ways we just don't even know. So, for example, what the federal government has said is not you get up to $600 per week. They've said you get $600 per week. The state says up to $240 based on how much you were making before. So what does that mean? $600 a week divided by 40 hours is $15 an hour. But there's probably no FICA on this. I'm not certain of that, but we'll use that assumption. So you divide it by 0.93. Now we're up to $16 and about 15 cents per hour that the government is going to be supplementing your unemployment. When you add in the state benefit, and we'll just assume the max in this instance, that takes us up to about $22.50 per hour of unemployment insurance. That's great.
What's minimum wage right now?
What's that?
What's minimum wage in Arizona?
$12.
So you would actually get a $10 an hour raise to not work.
Yeah. And that's what's so scary about this. So what we're telling the American working public is you can go to work, you can work in the highest stress environment of your life, get yelled at by customers, get fear for your health, your safety, your family's lives, or you can go home and get a raise. To me, that's terrifying. Right?
All right, Alex, devil's advocate, what's wrong with that?
I was talking to a friend. He this weekend he got laid off, and he's like, what do you do when you get laid off? You go apply for other jobs, right? So he got laid off. He applied for a job. Safeway's hiring. They offered him the job, and then he heard about the CARES Act. And he said, "Wait a minute, I'm gonna go work for Safeway for less than I could stay home for. Why would I go work for $10, $12, $14 an hour when I can make 22 or 16, depending on your situation, at home?" He's not going to do it.
Bringing this all back to corporate profits.
Well, and that's the topic for tomorrow. Corporate profits topic for tomorrow. For right now, we're talking about the unintended consequences of, how is Safeway going to retain employees? And that's not just Safeway, it's the gas stations. How much do those people get paid? The bank tellers, the Walmart store people, the delivery drivers, the stockers. What I believe is that the federal government just raised the minimum wage across the country to somewhere around $16 to $25 an hour for the next 5 months or 4 months, I'm sorry. And that's going to have...
What if this only goes on, though, for 13 weeks? I mean, is that too terrible?
No, it's not terrible, but the question is, what's the response? So Safeway, all right, I can't hire anybody at $12 an hour, so what do you do? Now I'm paying 16, now I'm paying 18. Well, if you're still getting $22 to stay home, you're going to have to pay 25 to 30 to cover the time and the risk premium, right? Would you work for less? So suddenly your stockers at Safeway are getting paid $30 an hour. Your gas station attendants are getting paid $30 an hour, or they don't show up to work.
Well, the other issue too is that we're at 10 million unemployed. We're adding another 5 million, and if this continues 13 weeks, we're not going to be able to just shut it off, are they?
No, I mean, the Fed's estimates go as high as 30% unemployment. The politicians aren't going to say, well, we only have 30% unemployment, we're going to cut off these unemployment benefits. They're going to extend them. They're not going to leave the American public high and dry. It's going to be extended, it's going to continue on, and it's going to make the economic recovery potentially take longer. The question is, do we see strategic unemployment? So back in 2008, we saw strategic foreclosures. I owe $300,000 on my house. It's only worth $150,000. Why would I keep paying that mortgage? And people walked away, and they were non-recourse loans. So you could walk away, and then you had to wait, a year before you could buy a home again? And so the banks were left holding these big, that just drove prices down even further. We could see that same problem with unemployment right now. And again, it won't be a problem in New York. It won't be a problem in California, but the middle of America, this could be a real concern.
Which segues perfectly to tomorrow.
Yep, exactly.
That's true. All right, let's open it up to questions. We'll open up the chat window, see if there is any questions. I did want to kind of circle back kind of the FOMO, because I know, we've got a lot of people who are asking, and I want to just reiterate, I mean, every day, Alex, we're just getting new stats, right? There's new repercussions of this pandemic that we haven't even thought of, that the economists haven't even thought of. We continue to see market like today, Dan, right? That 1,700 points today, it just seems like the market is completely disconnected from the economics. We just haven't seen a scenario where we actually reopen the country, right? We haven't seen any other countries do this. And so people keep, everything is disconnected, I guess is the point. And we want you to know that we are still slowly getting reinvested, right? We're not just going to sit here forever, because we can't do that. But it comes back to, we said this earlier, but it comes back to what Alex said a week ago or so, is we'd rather not be right than dead wrong. And I think that's really important for us to kind of get back to. And we've got these fun conversations that we talk about today is unemployment. Tomorrow we're going to talk about inflation, but I just kind of wanted to come back to that. Let's see if we've got any questions. I'm going to open up.
One thing I just wanted to
go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, I just wanted to interject. Remember, sure. The stock market is buying companies. Would you go out right now, based on what you know going on in the world, and buy a small business? If you wouldn't buy a small business, why would you buy a big business? It's the same thing. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at corporate profits. That's the value of a publicly traded firm, is the future discounted value of their dividends and their profits. And what do those numbers look like going forward?
Yeah. Well, so that leads to this next, sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, this leads to our next question. This is from Doug. I believe he's in Minnesota. He says, are the big gains in the stock market the past 2 days a sign of continued positive numbers? And how do you determine when to get back in the market?
Continued positive numbers in the stock market? Who knows? We're looking at economics. We base, and again, stock market valuations are based on profits. They're based on economics. They're based on trends. That all looks bad, and it looks like it's getting worse globally. So does the stock market go up today? Who knows why? Well, we know why. Probably it's because people are optimistic today, but that doesn't mean it's going to continue to go up. It doesn't mean it's going to go down either. The stock market may have unhitched itself completely from the economy. But for us to say, again, these companies look like a good buy right now. I keep picking on Carnival. They just went out and their stock's up because they announced, we've just borrowed another $4 billion at 11.5% interest, right? $4 billion at 11.5% interest. So now, even if we get bookings down to 25, 30% through the rest of this year, we've got enough money to last the year. Does that sound like a company you want to buy? But the stock goes up. Wells Fargo went up, I don't know how it was up 7.5% earlier today. And they just announced, we can't serve our small business customers. These are the people who have millions of dollars in the bank at Wells Fargo and use their financial products and so on and so forth. And they just told them, go somewhere else.
Right.
And your stock's up. I mean, sure.
Now, reality is this, to answer Doug's question, we fully intend to buy ever so slowly and in small increments into targeted areas that we find that are appropriate. I think, Robin, you were going to talk some more about that, but we are definitely getting back in. There's another question here from a person in Tucson.
Yeah, have you changed what to look for to get back in the market? Is your strategy about the same as 3 months ago? Our strategy is not the same as it was 3 months ago. The world is
we can answer both.
Yeah. But what our current plan is we are going to be buying. If it goes up or it goes down, we're just going to be doing it slowly, because uncertainty. Nobody knows where this is going to go. Nobody knows when this is going to end. The stock market thinks, as far as I can tell, the analysts this morning said they expect to see corporate profits drop by 4% this year. Goldman Sachs says they expect to see corporate profits drop by 30% this year. Who's right? The stock market looks very different depending on which of those you look at. And our belief is to listen to the epidemiologists, to the scientists who say, if you reopen too soon, you get another spike.
Right.
And we're going to get another spike anyway, even if we don't reopen too soon, and we're going to have to shut back down again.
Let me grab this one from Phoenix. Do you think there was a lot of short covering today? That was the word on the street 2 Mondays ago when the market went up big, before the end of the month, before the end of March. Actually, what we've been reading about today is there was a lot of excitement about the positive news about the coronavirus, and so there was movement into the money. And then there's a lot of, and this is, I shouldn't even open this up, but there's a lot of technical investors out there that are playing in tranches between trends, and they're looking between like 22.5 in the S&P and like 2,600 or 2,700 in the S&P. Wouldn't be surprised at all to see us touch that sell point up here and have it go down to the resistance point and kind of bounce back and forth. Again, we're not technical people, but everything I've been reading says if we see that S&P fall below 22.5, it's going to get really ugly, and that's when we're going to get greedy.
Yeah, I mean, another thing to think about that people aren't, I think, considering just yet is all these unemployed people, all these people who are taking pay cuts. If you get a letter from your employer that says, hey, we're cutting your pay by 10%, well, if you're an average American, you've been living on that, right? So you still got a job that's good. What do you cut from your life? What's one of the first things you might reduce? 401k contributions. Okay, that's that weekly drip into the stock markets that's been going on for years. Company matches. In 2008, when companies' profits went down, they cut the matches in half or did away with them. That's less money getting pumped into the stock market on an automatic basis. Everybody who's unemployed no longer has access to a 401k. Have we seen the repercussions of that yet? No. Are they going to be huge? Are they going to be big? We don't know. It's too uncertain.
It's still amazing how much data we have not received across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We actually start to see some of these, quarterly projections come out next week.
Yeah, I think those will be kind of funny in a dark way. So what do you think's your outlook for the next quarter is,
Right.
Mr. CEO?
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess we should mention too, I mean, we aren't going to be doing the things that we did 3 months ago as far as just the index investing as well, right? We're not going to be just jumping back into the S&P 500 willy-nilly and just dollar cost averaging into that. We're going to be picking things very strategically, very small sectors.
And that's going to change again eventually.
Yeah.
You know, our goal is to get back to the good old days of what we were doing before. It's protect now for the next few months while we have this uncertainty. And slowly get back in, slowly get in. Go ahead, Dave.
And days like today are great because consumer confidence went up because the thought that maybe we're going to get back to regular life, and our bonds came up a bunch today. So now, we have to start looking at those. Maybe we can unwind some of those let's talk about that tomorrow, more about inflation conversation. But Robin, we've been going a long time here.
Yeah, boys, I appreciate your time. I think we'll cut it here. Tomorrow we'll start talking about inflation, but we don't get to see you guys. So I enjoy our little 20 minutes together here. And I think that's it for questions. Folks, if you do have questions that you didn't think of or they get posted when we're done, we'll address those tomorrow. And if you have personal questions that you don't want to address here, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You know where to find us. And if you're not a client, obviously you have questions, please reach out to us. You can find us on ironwoodfinancial.com, or you can reach us toll free, 888-271-4646. Gentlemen, Dan, get a haircut.
I will. Thanks.
All right, take care, guys.
Bye.